John Cotton is a member of the Senate Armed Services and Intelligence Committee. Sir, when the United States has had this idea of strategic ambiguity for a long time, is it time to put that aside and actually deal with the issue more straight on and in a clarified manner?
Good morning, Dana. And yes, it is. The policy that Joe Biden seems to have stumbled on yesterday, or for that matter, two other times in the past 9 months, is the correct policy for the United States now. China is our #1 competitor. Taiwan is the most dangerous flashpoint in the world. For many years, we had so-called strategic ambiguity because the Chinese military is not capable of executing the invasion of Taiwan. That's not the case anymore. So the best way to deter a war over Taiwan before it happens is strategic clarity, to make it absolutely clear that the United States will come to Taiwan's aid. Unfortunately, what we've seen with President Biden now 3 times in 9 months is not strategic ambiguity or strategic clarity. It's muddled and confused ambiguity. On 3 times, President Biden has seemed to change U.S. policy, only to have anonymous White House staff immediately correct him. It is the worst of both worlds, Dana, because it gets provocation without deterrence. You can see how it provoked Beijing yesterday in their intemperate response. But Beijing probably doesn't think that Joe Biden is really willing to go defend Taiwan, given the fact that he allows his anonymous aides to rush out and change it. This is the worst of all possible worlds.
Senator, it's Martha McCallum. Good to have you with us this morning. This is the reaction from the Chinese State Council's Taiwan Affairs Office. It says the U.S. is, quote, using the Taiwan card to contain China and will itself get burned. And there's a number of editorials this morning, both in the Journal and in the Post, that suggest that if the president is going to answer these questions this way, that we would be in a defensive military mode for Taiwan, that there's a lot that needs to be done to prepare us for that kind of potential confrontation and defense. Do you agree?
I do agree, Martha. Again, I think the president should clean up this mess himself. As I said yesterday, since he's made this mistake 3 times now in 9 months with his White House staff cleaning it up immediately, he needs to give a careful, deliberate speech from a prepared text that he releases in advance that makes it perfectly clear to the entire world, most importantly Beijing, that the United States' new policy is strategic clarity, that we will come to Taiwan's aid. Now, words are not enough, as you suggest. We also need to substantially increase our defense budget, especially to increase the kinds of weapon systems that we would need to deter China in the Western Pacific. We also need the Taiwanese to work with us to step up their military readiness. For instance, making sure that they have the kind of weapons that we've been rushing to Ukraine in the last 3 months since war started in advance, and making sure that their military has a large and capable reserve force, exactly the kind of reserve army that countries like Israel or Finland have, because they are next to large aggressive neighbors as well. Those are the steps we need to take in addition to making this policy change, but it starts with Joe Biden being perfectly clear without any confusion at all that this is the United States policy. Otherwise, as I said, we have the worst of both worlds, provocation without deterrence.
Senator, maybe I'll give you an opportunity here just to explain what is the United States' strategic national interest here? Like, why does it matter so much to us about Taiwan? Why would we want to have this? Understanding the Chinese is our #1 adversary or enemy, even you could say. But for people out there wondering, like, so what is different about Taiwan than any other country?
Well, China is our #1 enemy in the world. That's one difference. Second, Taiwan is geographically vital to access to the Western Pacific, where so much of our economic prosperity is based. If China can take Taiwan, it has what Douglas MacArthur called an unsinkable aircraft carrier. That gets it outside the so-called First Island chain, where we have so many partners and bases, places like South Korea and Japan and the Philippines. Moreover, Taiwan is an advanced industrial democracy, which has a company that produces the most high-tech semiconductor chips in the world. It's the only place right now that those chips are made. If China were to get its hands on that, it would threaten the prosperity of all Americans. And finally, if China were able to seize Taiwan, there's no telling where it would stop. Again, that's a much harder operation than threats on land because it has to go across the Taiwanese Strait. So if the United States stand by and lets it execute the hardest military operation, then it would imperil all of our partners across East and South Asia.
Senator Tom Cotton for us this morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Senator.